Welcome to Fishing Without Bait. It doesn't matter how you got here, whether by accident or being held hostage, or actually by choice, where we help people explode into their life through full impact mindfulness, learn how to create themselves rather than find themselves, to help people understand how not to live their life in a rearview mirror rather than look at life right in front of them through the windshield. Welcome. I'm Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist, and today I'm always joined by my good friend and co-host, the producer of this program, Mr. Mike.
Hello, good to be back and off of one trip and into another. I'm looking forward to this week.
Yes, I was quite often I deal with some patients who have a bit of travel anxiety, Mike, and I understand that you're having a bit of travel anxiety yourself, but it isn't about traveling on the airplane. It's actually about traveling with me.
Maybe a little bit. Well, and I'm no stranger to travel anxiety. I mean, I think we may have talked about it on the show because, 5 years ago, I was deathly afraid of getting on a plane. And it is amazing, to me still just seeing like how much I'm traveling lately, especially the last 3 months, as things have been getting back to quote unquote normal-ish or even more so, and what that looks like. And that is like, yeah, hey, let's get on the plane and hop to Florida when you suggested it to me is such an easy thing to comprehend and do now, the anxiety, yes. Is Jim a good travel companion? We'll see how that goes. So we'll find out. And does he snore? I think I've been warned he does. But yeah. So it's just like it's the time is the thing. Only thing that's my anxiety now is like, what work do I need to get done?
Well, the idea is that work will continue to work will continue to be work.
Absolutely.
And the idea with this is we can incorporate some pleasure with some fun. And I can tell you this, I've never been abandoned anywhere by anybody that I ever went anywhere.
Oh, good. We've only once almost abandoned somebody on a trip. So no, that's good to know. And again, it's a new place. Of course, you've been down there to meet our friend Jake, your favorite tattoo artist. And it'll be good to catch up with them as well. And we will be recording content while we're down there for this show. So you'll see that over the next several weeks. And maybe some extra special stuff over that Patreon at patreon.com/fishingwithoutbait.
So what we help people do, Mike, is validate their own fears.
Mm-hmm.
When you're afraid, recognize it. Most people say, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. Oh, don't be a baby. Oh, come on, you can get on this plane. Oh, people travel every day. Well, everyone isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that people recognize and validate their own fears. And when they recognize and label their own fears, that gives them some power over it. That gives them a sense of empowerment, and they can recognize that to address the fear rather than live in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As our favorite football coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, often says, I'm not going to live in my fears.
And I think it's absolutely something that I deal with. I was showing you a little bit of some stuff I was working on this weekend, and I had a lot of anxiety going into that. And so much of it is being able to sit back and say, hey, you do this every time. You're going to stress over it. It's going to get started. You're going to be fine. It's just be able to kind of step back and say, this is the thing you do. This is the fear that you have. You're going to work through it because you always, this is just how this works.
We accept the fact that we're going to be anxious. We accept the fact that we're going to have some fear. So acceptance is always the prelude to change. Always, always, always. People can throw all types of facts up in there. Well, the actual statistic for dying in a plane crash is that in order for that to be a possibility, you would have to take a flight every day for the next 55,000 years in order for you statistically to die in a plane crash.
No, absolutely.
So, however, what are you looking forward to, Mike? What are you anticipating? Let's talk about.
So I've had the fortune over the last 2 months to see 2 oceans. and haven't been had the opportunity to actually go up to the ocean and everything. And also just seeing Miami, seeing a place that I see on so many movies and TV shows. I was telling you about one of my favorite ones, Burn Notice, last week when we were talking about things off air. I think that's really cool. I just always love new places, and just the ability to do that, that's flatly that's it. For me.
Well, we often discuss changing perspective, and rather than looking at things as obstacles, to look at them as opportunities. So we have a wonderful opportunity. And my thought, Mike, is always that any town that has the word beach associated with it can't be that bad.
Although I'm really confused because I always see signs for the Jersey Shore when I'm well into Pennsylvania. That really kind of confuses me. But anyways,
yes, it does.
Well, we are in Beachview, but
Well, we are going to be visiting Boynton Beach. We are going to be visiting Delray. We're going to be coming into Fort Lauderdale and moving around and visiting our dear friend Jake Steele and catching up on his life also, along with some wonderful tattoos.
Excellent. Looking forward to all of that, of course. But no, absolutely, and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully to get some new perspective on things, and we'll see. And again, we're going to be recording episodes. We're going to record things there. I often, and maybe this is a little extra thing. Like I have a maybe this is just because of my fortune of being able to travel, but I'm really big on the idea that people do need to leave the roost, right? Whether that be the big vacation every year or little vacations, or maybe you have the fortune that work lets you get to different places like I do. But it really, I think you mentioned perspective. I think that creates a lot of perspective. And when people are saying, "Oh, it's so bad here. This is the worst city." Da 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 da. I was like, "Well, wait a minute. What's your comparison point here? Is that just because it's your own experience and you think it's the worst, or how do you think other cities deal with this kind of that, and the other thing?"
Our brain interprets reality by our previous experience. It's called framing. What is our experience? However, merely because we've had that experience before does not suggest that that's going to happen now.
So what happens when we widen our experience and then we can apply different things to it?
When we are aware and understand that, then we can tap various experiences in our past to deal with the present. And to idea that we have to overcome our old friend, fear.
Absolutely.
So, my suggestion out there to everyone is with the Patreon account, Mike may explain that a little bit more. We're going to attempt to provide some new and varied type of experiences to everyone out there. And one of the things that we're going to make exclusively available for the moment to our Patreon followers is our educational rounds that you and I did at Sinclair with a number of physician assistant students, and they were very good sports. And in order to explore more of that, I would suggest that you follow the link, which Mike will provide, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
That's right. Go over to patreon.com/fishing without bait to sign up for that as much as $1 a month. It helps keep the podcast going. Is the biggest thing. It helps keep the lights on at the studio. It keeps us getting here. Not necessarily fund our trip to Fort Lauderdale, but but no, any assistance. If you're liking, if you get some value out of this show, if it's helped you here over the years, it's an opportunity to help make sure the show goes and helps more people along the line. So we appreciate any support and help that you do give us there, and we'll probably give some shout outs here in the coming weeks as people sign up for it.
Absolutely.
Too, on the show.
Mike, have you ever worked pledge breaks at PBS stations or radio or TV stations?
I have not done that, but we have done several 24-hour charity video game events live from the Toonseum when that was still around downtown. So very, very familiar with those kinds of situations.
You sounded like a real professional handling that.
As much as we can. So, no, they're very interesting. I actually learned a lot about streaming from all those things.
So we're going to wrap up our podcast today as we're anticipating our trip without too many expectations, because the higher the expectations, as we discussed in our last podcast, the lower your serenity.
Absolutely.
So we're going to walk into this situation with a beginner's mind. We're going to have the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. And at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription: fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste, my friends, and surf's up somewhere. See you soon.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.